The first nisayon of Avraham Avinu is Lech Lecha. No, Ur Kasdim. But you're right. The first nisayon is Lech Lecha, but it's not. It's Ur Kasdim. You look in the Mishnayos. Asor Nisyonis Nisnaso Avraham Avinu. You look at the Mefarshim there. The first nisayon is Ur Kasdim. What was Ur Kasdim? Avraham Avinu was thrown into the fire. He was saved from the fire. Why was he thrown into the fire? Because everybody believed in idolatry, Avodah Zarah, and he's the only one who believed in one God. He was thrown into the fire. That's the first nisayon of Avraham Avinu. Where's that mentioned in the Torah? Not mentioned. Now you would think the first nisayon of Avraham Avinu, where he really worked on himself and went against the whole generation and everything that was accepted back then by Dor Enosh, he went against it. And he was willing to be Meiser Nefesh al Kiddush Hashem. You would think the Torah is going to make a big deal out of that. That's the biggest nisayon. What's the biggest nisayon of Avraham Avinu that we attribute as the biggest nisayon? The Akedah, the last one. But the Akedah, Avraham was already famous. There were nisim done to him already. And the Akedah is the biggest nisayon. Why is that? How come the first nisayon of Avraham Avinu, where he was 3 years old, like the beautiful words in the Rambam, Keivan shenigmal eitan zeh, the mighty Avraham, eitan zeh, Avraham Avinu, hitchil shotet beda'ato. He started thinking and analyzing and thinking, what's going on in the world? Who's running the show? And he came to the realization that there's a God, and we should not pray to the stars or to the moon or whatever. We should pray to one Hashem, to one God. How come we don't attribute any chashivas? And the Torah doesn't even make a mention out of the Ur Kasdim nisayon. We make a big deal out of the last nisayon, which is the Akedah. So maybe you can say like this. Ur Kasdim was a nisayon for Avraham Avinu. But Ur Kasdim was a nisayon that Avraham can understand with his brain. Like the Rambam says. Nigmal eitan zeh, hitchil meshotet beda'ato. It was logical to him that there's a God. And if there's a God, I should be Meiser Nefesh. I should obey what he says. If he tells me Lech Lecha, if he tells me to buy a grave for sorrow, if he tells me this, he tells me that. That's something which was, even though despite the fact that it was a nisayon, it's something that was logical to him. Something that he was able to work out with his seichel. That's a nisayon. But at the end of the day, it's something that you're able to understand. It's something that which you can reason with. Okay, that's Yitzchak. Was something that was against all logic. And Avraham Avinu still did it. Kadosh Baruch Hu promises him, B'Yitzchak Kollel Zora. And what happens? Go Shech Yitzchak. Illogical. You can't wrap your brains around it. And Avraham Avinu still did it. You know, the Rashi says on the Akedah that Avraham Avinu asked questions on Kadosh Baruch Hu. But when did he ask the question? Very interesting. Rashi says that he asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu the following question. Yesterday you told me, then you're telling me, and now you're telling me, take him down, don't shecht him. I don't understand the kasha. In fact, Reb Chaim, why didn't he ask the question before that? Why didn't he ask the question right when HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him, shecht Yitzchak? Hey, stop, I have a question. Yesterday you told me, now you're telling me to shecht Yitzchak. Elamai, says Reb Chaim, that's not a question. You do whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells you. Why didn't he ask the question back then? You ask questions on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told you, now he tells you, Aleu Le'ila. Now when he told me, don't shecht him, take him down, now I have a kasha. Because he told me already the teretz. I want to know the mahalach, I want to know the process. But right when he told me, Aleu Le'ila, I'm not asking any questions. I don't have to use my sechel. There's a God and he tells me what to do. The answer was, I only told you ha'aleu, I didn't tell you to shecht him. Now this concept of following HaKadosh Baruch Hu and going after HaKadosh Baruch Hu even without understanding, there's a Gemara in Chulin Daf Hey. Gemara says, Odomu veheima toishia Hashem. Darshins the Gemara. People say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, sometimes we're like a behema. We are arumim bedas, even though we have a lot of brains. Sometimes we're mitnaheg with you and we serve you like a behema. So bepashtus it means, what do you mean like a behema? Ba'anovo, beshiflus, low like a behema. Some say a pshat like this. You know, legabe kinyan meshicha, it's mevur and kiddushin. Kinyan meshicha is you can pull a behema and be koine it. One of the drachim, one of the ways to be koine a behema is by pulling it. One of the ways to be koine an evet knaini is by pulling it. Meshicha. But there's a difference between the meshicha of evet knaini and the meshicha of a behema. What happens, says the Gemara, if you're koire to a behema, you snap your finger, you say, hey, and the behema comes, that's a meshicha, that's a kinyan. What happens if you're koire to an evet knaini gadol, okay, a grown-up, evet knaini, you say, and he comes, you're not koine b'meshicha. What's the difference? Both of them are nikne b'meshicha. The difference is when the behema comes to you because you snapped your finger, she comes because you snapped your finger. That's a meshicha. It was your action of pulling the behema. When an evet comes, evet is a person, he's got brains. So when you snap your finger, he comes because he wants to come. That's not a meshicha. He came because he wanted to come. It's not your action that pulled him. He came by himself. because he has das. We say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, sometimes we serve you like a behemoth. You snap your finger and we come, without any das, without any seichel. Some say that's the pshat in the Gemara. I would like to argue a little bit with the pshat. An Eved also serves his master without understanding, without reasoning. Did you see an Eved arguing with his master? No, the master says, the Eved does. The difference between an Eved and a behemoth is the behemoth doesn't have das at all, and the Eved understands that he doesn't have to understand. See the difference between a behemoth and an Eved. An Eved also understands. He's also got seichel, but he has an understanding that he doesn't know what's understand. That's an Eved. I understand that I don't understand. There's no mila to not understanding at all. There's no mila in serving on the instinct. There's a mila in serving with the understanding that I don't always have to understand. I don't have to always understand what I'm doing. Understand my service. You know, in yeshiva, we used to sing the song, a famous song, Ano, Avedo de Kudesh Avechu. So Rosh Yeshiva, Baltuski in yeshiva, he used to say, we shouldn't sing like that. He used to stop, saying, no, we shouldn't sing like that. We should sing, Ano, Avdo. Saying, don't put the emphasis on the Ano. Don't put the emphasis on the Ani. Put the emphasis on the service. The comparison that the Gemara wants to make between an Adam and a Behema is different. The comparison is, there's another halacha by Mashiach of a Behema. Hikisho b'makel v'rotzel lefano. If you hit the Behema and then it runs, that's also a form of Kinyan Mashiach. We say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Adam u'Behema Toshia Hashem, we are rumim b'das, but sometimes we're like a Behema. In order for you to be Moshech us, you need to hit us. That's a kishu b'makel v'rotzes olefono. Sometimes, unfortunately, we have to get hit in order to be pulled to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Remember the Gemara in Tainis says that when there's a Tainis, they used to go out and wear sakim of a behema, leathers of a behema. Why? Says the Gemara, Arei anachnu chashuvim lefonecho kebehema. Sometimes you have to get a clap in order to be pulled acharei Hashem. So that's the message Rabbi Isai. The message is that service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's good to understand, it's good to reason, but sometimes we have to understand that we don't understand. And only when Avraham passed the nisayon of the Akedah of doing the service to HaKadosh Baruch Hu with the understanding that he doesn't always have to understand, only then did HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him, Ato yodati ikere leimato. Till now the nisayonis were fine. The first nisayon is not even mentioned because you understood everything, okay? Now is the real test. And that's why we attribute so much chashivus to the nisayon of the Akedah. It's considered to be the highest nisayon of Avraham Avinu, the nisayon of the Akedah. So that's the message Rabbi Isai. Sometimes we live in difficult times. We don't always understand. But we can understand that we're doing service. Not always we understand. They're like an Eved. And we should not come to the situation of being like a behemoth, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to clap us and to give us a hit or a patch in order to be Moshech. We should say like an Eved. An Eved understands that he doesn't understand, that's enough.